This is the CBS Evening News. I'm Charles Kuralt, sitting in for Dan Rather. Good evening. On the day after the resignation of House Speaker Jim Wright, the question on Capitol Hill is what or who may be next. Bob Schieffer reports.
The turmoil has left Democrats shell-shocked, and when the man who'll probably succeed Wright arrived for work today, he was determined to cool things down.
We need to return to a mood of mutual respect and conciliation between the parties. I think we can turn this mood that has somehow infected the institution a bit recently back to a strong and healthy one.
Colleagues said Foley's personality may be just what's needed to do that.
In terms of temperament, he will take a more cautious approach to his role as Speaker than Jim Wright did.
Even so, all sides conceded the partisan fighting has left scars that won't easily heal.
It's rotten right now. It's about as lousy an environment as I've seen. You've got people in both political parties, by no means all, but too many people in both parties who are headhunters today.
And Republicans were not above rubbing a little salt in the wounds in suggested talking points distributed to GOP House members today. Party strategists argued Wright's downfall was another sign Democrats have just held power too long, and that there could well be a feeling that you can do what you want. Ethics be damned. In interviews today, Wright said that was just the sort of thing he would not miss.
How'd you feel when it was over?
Relieved. Vastly relieved. Betty came back to the office and was watching one of the shows, and there was a commentator who was very favorable to me, and then there was a commentator who was a bit more snide, and she became quite angry, and I said, hey, forget that. We're liberated. We don't have to care what those people say about us anymore.
Some people have said that had you been more apologetic somewhere along the way, that you might have survived as Speaker, that was a strategy that you might have taken.
Well, Bob, there may be something to that. Maybe it goes deeper than that. Maybe I've been too insistent and too demanding and too sure that I was right in matters of legislation.
You talked about a mindless cannibalism mindset. There are certainly those who see politics as war these days. Is this going to go on?
The American political system is too precious for that. The arenas where Lincoln and Douglas debated important issues ought not to be clogged with these little 15-second sound bites of bitter vindictiveness trying to destroy the character of one another's opponent. That's not worthy of us.
But it is an arena Jim Wright will soon leave, a place that is very different from what it was when he came here 34 years ago. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Democratic Congressman Bill Gray of Pennsylvania again denounced stories about an ethics investigation of his office in response to accusations that there might be a no-show employee on his staff. Gray today began releasing affidavits from his employees saying how much work they do. Gray also said he's pressing ahead with plans to run for House Democratic Whip. A military honor guard carried the body of Congressman Claude Pepper to the United States Capitol today to lie in state in the Great Rotunda. This is an honor bestowed previously on only 26 other Americans. In Claude Pepper's case, it was not only in recognition of his standing as the oldest member of Congress, but also of his championship of the old and poor of this country, whose battles he fought beginning as a young New Dealer under Franklin Roosevelt. Congressman Claude Pepper was 88 when he died on Tuesday. George Bush flies home tomorrow from his first presidential trip to Europe. In London today, questions were raised about a possible cooling in the state of U.S. relations with Britain. Leslie Stahl reports.
To your health.
During the Reagan years, there was never any doubt that Margaret Thatcher was the American president's best friend. But in England, they're worried that there's no chemistry with the new president, and that Mr. Bush has moved closer to West Germany.
Is Britain still America's most important ally in Europe?
I think you might put it more tactfully.
The president hinted that in their meeting today, there may have been some friction.
It's only with friends that you can take off the gloves and talk from the heart.
Mr. Bush used this trip to establish himself as the leader of the free world, a role Mrs. Thatcher had savored for herself. While she may be peeved at this turn of events, the real target of this trip for Mr. Bush was not here in London, but in Moscow. From their very first encounter, Gorbachev has been upstaging George Bush. When he jumped out of his limousine and wowed the crowds in downtown Washington, then Vice President Bush was left standing in the street in the Soviet shadow.
Well, I guess now the shoe is on the other foot.
Chief of Staff John Sununu says the president has put Gorbachev on the defense.
I think what the president has done is put something forward with heart and substance, and now the pressure is on them. So if that's what you would call role reversal, so be it.
Today, European analysts agreed that Mr. Bush has shown toughness, but some wonder if he'll sustain the momentum.
And the question was, have we got landed with a wimp in the White House for 4 years? He's shown real leadership now. Now, will he, having picked up the torch, will he run with it? Or will he let the torch simply burn out?
No president visits London without getting the royal treatment. So for the Bushes, it was lunch with the Queen at Buckingham Palace. And then there was the common touch. The Prime Minister's husband, Dennis Thatcher, greeted Mrs. Bush with a kiss on the hand. Some photographers missed it and begged him to do it again, but before he could, the British say she's cheeky, and they love it. Leslie Stahl, CBS News, London.
Still to come on the CBS Evening News, John Blackstone on tough times for student loans. And Anthony Mason on an English village where NATO stands for noise.
When my arthritis pain acts up, even little things are a big effort. But I don't take aspirin anymore. I take Advil. Advil is the brand many doctors recommend for hours of relief from minor arthritis pain. You know, just one Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin. And Advil doesn't upset my stomach the way aspirin sometimes can. So now, I don't even have to think about arthritis. Advil, tablets and caplets, advanced medicine for pain.
It's hard to face the day that he knows your favorite way. Cold, you're starting to brew, the aroma's calling you.
Wake up with Mountain Grown Folgers decaffeinated. Mountain Grown coffee has a more enticing aroma and richer flavor. And it's decaffeinated?
The best part of waking up, your wife, is Folgers in your cup.
Subaru apologizes to the residents of Casa Grande, Arizona, for driving the new Subaru Legacy 60,000 miles in 19 days for a new world record. If you're listening, Casa Grande, thank you.
Oh, I feel good.
If you want to control your sodium, cholesterol, and fat intake, delicious Le Menu Lifestyle lets you feel
so good, so good. I got you.
Chinese troops moved closer today to Beijing's Tiananmen Square. So far, the government is still unable or unwilling to end the student demonstration there. But as Richard Roth reports, officials gave orders today intended to keep the rest of the world from seeing what's going on.
The government announcement tightened official restrictions on news reporting of the pro-democracy demonstration, banning coverage of Tiananmen Square as well as all interviews with Chinese citizens. The government also showed on television that troops have taken up positions in key areas of the city, from the telephone building to the train station, to enforce martial law. It happened on a day that was supposed to be dedicated to family affairs, Children's Day in China, when the country celebrates its future by doting on its youth. They're all little emperors, the Chinese say, and they had the run of the country. Every student had a day off from school.
Martial law regulations specifically forbid foreign reporters from covering large gatherings of students. But today, the same authorities responsible for enforcing martial law were soliciting foreign press coverage.
This is the snapshot the government wanted to share with the world. This one it's declared illegal. But official disapproval of the pro-democracy demonstration didn't keep people away. We wanted our son to see the Statue of Democracy, said these parents. It's our third visit and still exciting. It amounted to an open house on the occupied square. Children invited to sing and play in what's looking now like a Disneyland for dissent, a miniature city with its own municipal services, from security to sanitation. Authorities said they'd begin enforcing the new restrictions on coverage of it all, but took no immediate steps. They're still letting the encampment bask in the sun, but threatening to turn up the heat. Richard Roth, CBS News, Beijing.
Food riots in Argentina this week have killed 16 people. The country was mostly calm today. Supermarkets that still have doors opened them again. Some shopkeepers gave out whatever food was left behind by looters. There is no end in sight to the cause of this violence, inflation running away at a rate of more than 70% per month. Lame duck President Raul Alfonsín has been unable to solve the economic crisis, and President-elect Carlos Menem is not scheduled to take office until December. There was a peaceful transfer of power in war-torn El Salvador today. Right-wing businessman Alfredo Cristiani was sworn in as president. He succeeds José Napoleón Duarte. In his inaugural address, Cristiani offered a new dialogue with leftist guerrillas fighting the Salvadoran government, and he asked for more foreign aid. El Salvador gets more than $1 million a day from the United States.
Now, new scientific tests prove Heart's Blockade Repellent gives your pet total protection against fleas and ticks, or your money back. Unsolicited, here's what some satisfied Blockade users have told us.
I have never been quite so pleased with an over-the-counter flea product. Blockade is effective and does exactly what it promises to do.
Thanks for Heart's Blockade. It's everything you say. My cat has been flea-free all summer.
Heart's Blockade, guaranteed flea and tick protection that really works.
Now, Red Lobster's new 5-star shrimp sampler. 5 kinds of shrimp on one plate, just $8.95.
More for you, David Freeman.
Savory grilled shrimp, scrumptious scampi, Cajun popcorn, and more. 5 kinds for just $8.95.
More for you, Stacy Class.
A kid's meal, $1.95. Hurry.
Red Lobster, there's more for you to love.
Now get a ½ pound of snow crab legs for $3.95 with any entree.
Suddenly, the English muffin takes a new turn. Oatmeal Goodness Bread introduces English muffins with oat bran. All the important oat bran of a bowl of oatmeal in each one. And a crunchy, chewy taste you can't turn down. New from Oatmeal Goodness.
With low back pain, every step shoots pain. Up here. Know what helps? Clinically proven Back Guard, a shoe insert. Watch how it absorbs foot shock to relieve low back pain. Amazing. Something down here can help up here. Back Guard from Dr. Scholl's.
The U.S. Department of Education proposed new rules today to try to reduce the rate of default in the federal student loan program. Defaults on student loans are expected to amount to nearly $2 billion this year. John Blackstone reports from California, where student loans are in a terrible snarl, that not all of it is the fault of defaulting students.
Even with today's tougher rules, the federal government student loan program is in such disarray that major banks are losing confidence, and students will find it increasingly difficult to borrow to finance their education. Glendale Federal, a bank which lent $90 million to students last year, says it will make no more student loans. And this week, California officials are looking into what's being called the most expensive foul-up in the history of the student loan program. Authorities have packed up the files of First Independent Trust, a lender closed by the state in the midst of a $650 million mix-up in which lenders have lost track of hundreds of thousands of students who owe money.
It's a very large chunk of money. Nobody knows for sure exactly how much it will be at this point. It will take years for people to pour through the files, to correct the records, and to recover the funds.
At the center of the mess is a California company, United Education and Software. It was supposed to keep track of loans to more than 500,000 students. But when investigators entered the company's offices, they found only confusion.
There were dozens, if not more, boxes of unprocessed mail. There was inadequate phone staff to be making the required calls. and collection efforts on students.
The federal government has refused to guarantee any of the loans caught in the mix-up, so banks are facing a huge potential loss.
It is a large amount of money. It's over $1 billion in this portfolio, and if it turns out that half of it has problems, so that's over $500 million.
The president of the company blames it all on a new computer program.
Our computer said the letter went out. However, there was some flawed software that caused the letter not to go out.
But United Education's computer was sending out threatening letters. Trouble is, those letters were going to borrowers whose payments were up to date.
I'm paying the loan off. They know it in person, but they kept generating paperwork stating that I wasn't.
But the students who may suffer most are those who start looking for loans this year.
Minority students are going to be dreadfully hurt. They just may not have the opportunity to participate in a higher education.
Educators fear that because of the financial quagmire that began in California, banks nationwide will now lend only to those students who are the best credit risks, those who attend the best schools. Students who need the money most will be least likely to get it. John Blackstone, CBS News, Los Angeles.
222 young contestants, the largest number in the 62-year history of the National Spelling Bee, competed today in Washington, D.C. Finally, one word stood between victory and 14-year-old Scott Isaacs of Littleton, Colorado, who was making his third appearance in the contest. The word was spoliator, meaning one who pillages or destroys.
Spoliator. S-P-O-L-I-A-T-O-R. Spoliator.
As the winner of the National Spelling Bee, Scott Isaacs receives a cash award of $1,500.
I'm real aware as to what's going on with my body. I have taken pain relievers that have the ingredient ibuprofen in it, and sometimes they have irritated my stomach. I did just recently talk to my doctor, and she recommended Tylenol because it won't cause the stomach irritation that ibuprofen can.
Linda Mulhauser trusts Tylenol. Its pain reliever is in a class by itself.
I always make sure that I have it, and I just continue using it because I trust it.
I grew my world record cucumber with Miracle Grow plant food.
We asked world champion gardeners in the Guinness Book of World Records, which plant food do you use?
Miracle Grow. Miracle Grow. Miracle Grow. Miracle Grow. I swear by Miracle Grow. It's the best.
Hey, if world champion gardeners depend on Miracle Grow, shouldn't you? Now Miracle Grow is so easy to use with the Miracle Grow no-clog feeder. Just drop in and spray on. So fast, you'll feed your whole yard in minutes.
Whoa, whoa, Woolite. When summer wear needs special care, trust Woolite in your machine. Woolite. From sunning wear to stunning wear, whatever clothes need special care, trust in your machine.
Where does it hurt?
Here.
For indigestion and gas, your medical answer is Extra Strength Maalox Plus. Its doctor-recommended formula neutralizes more than any leading antacid. Ask your doctor about Extra Strength Maalox Plus.
The strong ties that bind the United States and Japan are an accepted fact of international economic life. We know that those ties sometimes fray, but business correspondent Ray Brady explains why there's not likely to be a break in this odd couple relationship.
I am waiting for you in Kentucky.
They're plugging my old Kentucky home here in Japan.
Our workers are very good. All of the Japanese industries that have come into Kentucky are very, very pleased with it.
Governor Wallace Wilkins is trying to persuade Japanese businessmen to come to Kentucky.
Ours is a simple message. Kentucky is open for business.
Because the bluegrass state needs Japan for jobs.
We must convince you that it's the right thing.
Already, Japanese factories employ 10,000 workers in Kentucky, and the state is not alone in needing Japan.
U.S. needs Japanese technology, Japanese money, so as much as Japan needs American market, American ideas, American technology. That's a mutual.
Japan and the U.S. They are the odd couple of the global economy. Strains, arguments are constant between them, yet each realizes it is dependent on the other, and in more ways than most Americans know.
In the past, that kind of relationship was a kind of one-way traffic, but now the story has entirely changed.
It has indeed. The U.S. likes to point out its Seventh Fleet kept Japan's oil supply line open during the Persian Gulf crisis. But much of what was in those warplanes overhead came from Japan. Missile guidance system, made by Toshiba. Heads-up display, made by Shimadzu. Microwave fire control, made by NEC. And a lot more, all labeled, made in Japan.
The Pentagon couldn't launch missiles without Japanese technology. The chips that go into our missiles, many of them are from Japan, and all of them are encased in packaging that is made in Japan.
But it's also money that binds Japan and the U.S. together. It's in Tokyo banks and in brokerage houses like this that you see how interdependent the two nations have become. In this one place alone, investors every day buy more than $200 million worth of U.S. government bonds. And without that kind of buying, U.S. interest rates would be even higher. While Japanese bankers on Wall Street rush to buy U.S. government bonds, there's another side to that coin. Back in Tokyo, the great earthquake of 1923 and another in 1983 are in the minds of Japanese insurance companies and other big investors. They want to make sure still another earthquake doesn't wipe them out.
The big earthquake may happen in Japan. In order to make ourselves more sound and healthy portfolio, it is quite necessary for the Japanese investors to put their money in US dollars.
While U.S. companies like Budweiser are entering the Japanese market, other companies charge the Japanese don't really want American products. But, say the Japanese, tell that to the American farmer. Japan is the #1 buyer of U.S. agricultural products.
It is my hope that America has been getting as much from their Japanese relationship as the Japanese has from our relationship with the United States.
So the U.S. and Japan may find living together difficult, but without each other, the world's odd couple could face even bigger problems. Ray Brady, CBS News, Tokyo.
The U.S. military today called off the search for 13 Marines and a sailor missing in a helicopter accident near Okinawa. Their helicopter plunged into the sea upside down during a training exercise 2 nights ago. 7 other Marines and a sailor were rescued.
Enter the American Family Sweepstakes this week, and your dreams of instant wealth may come true sooner than you think.
Ours sure did.
The next $10 million prize may be yours, and you could win another million this July 7th when I announce the winning number on TV. Get more fun out of life. We sure are. Win fast at American Family, the only sweepstakes with my picture. You could be a millionaire this summer. Enter fast.
Hospital patients are benefiting from Remington's advanced shaving technology with the 3M surgical clipper by Remington. You can benefit from Remington's advanced technology at home with the Remington Electroblade, the vibrating blade system with high-speed motor and vibrating twin blades. Electroblade glides so easily for incredibly close, smooth, comfortable shaves. The Remington Electroblade vibrating blade system. A blade shave like you've never imagined, or your money back.
Got a nice minty taste to it.
That's good.
Can you say that about your liquid antacid? If not, taste Tums Liquid.
It has a nice taste to it. It's delicious. Tums tastes the best.
Tums Liquid. It works, and it really tastes good.
The Honda Lawnmower. It was first with a convenient blade brake clutch, with an automotive-type shaft drive, with an easy-starting overhead valve engine. It's the first mower good enough to be a Honda.
A new role for Shirley Temple Black. The former child movie star was nominated by President Bush today to be United States Ambassador to Czechoslovakia. She was ambassador to Ghana in the mid-1970s. President Bush and Mikhail Gorbachev have been talking a lot lately about cutting back military forces in Europe, and this is giving the people who live in Europe hope for a new era of peace. In one part of England, Anthony Mason tells us, along with the peace, they're hoping for some quiet.
Maybe the poet John Dryden was thinking of these peaceful scenes in Oxfordshire, England, when he wrote, "How blessed is he who leads a country life." But then Dryden never lived next door to a NATO air base. The U.S. Air Force fighter bombers which guard Western Europe take off so close to the rooftops of Ardleigh and Steeple Aston that the villagers feel it's they who are under attack.
Last sort of year or so, it's absolutely incredible now.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey
that's
there.
what I'm going over now. Can't hear yourself speak.
The supersonic F-111 fighter bombers stationed at Upper Heyford, England, are an integral part of NATO's defense. In 1986, planes from the base provided tactical support in the U.S. bombing raid on Libya. American fighters have been based here since 1950, but last June the Air Force altered its flight path, and almost immediately that historic special relationship between Britain and America began to shudder. It's not just the noise that worries the base's neighbors. Last month, a piece of one of the F-111s fell off in midair. Another plane had to dump its fuel load to make an emergency landing. That created a huge fireball over the villages in the middle of the night.
I think they thought we'd all just sit quietly and watch it, but we're not going to.
Signs of protest have gone up in every village around the airbase.
There is an anti-American feeling growing up in the area. I find it worrying.
The British government has offered to buy out the worst affected homeowners and move American airmen into their houses. Those left behind won't be putting out the welcome mat.
Their culture is slightly different to ours. They do enjoy outside music, they enjoy outside cooking, i.e. barbecues, and these things do tend to disturb the peace of the Englishman's castle.
The U.S. Air Force says there's little they can do to curb the noise except urge pilots to use caution.
And the noise abatement today, we got to be real careful.
The thunder of the bombers' afterburners, they say, is the sound of freedom.
Is that we are all here to defend that right for them to complain. I mean, if it wasn't free over here, then the people couldn't complain, and I really feel strongly about it.
Still, the people of Ardleigh and Steeple Aston are convinced a strong defense doesn't have to be deafening. But NATO's proposed cuts this week have given them new hope that one day soon the bombers might roar out over their rooftops and just keep on going. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Oxfordshire, England.
And that's the CBS Evening News. I'm Charles Kuralt, sitting in for Dan Rather. Good night.
Deprogramming, a mother's fight to win back her son from what she calls a cult.
What are you doing, Mom?
48 hours tonight.
This is CBS.